We'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. Welcome to the Legacy Center neighborhood meeting for our community. And we're going to get right into this thing and share the vision and the mission of the new Legacy Center that's going to be taking over and it being expanded into this building right here, the Oasis Community Center. So we're gonna video record this for whoever could not make it from the community, and just in case you want to see this later, you are welcome to see this. My name is Bishop Freeze. I am the executive director and founder of the Inner City Youth Ministry right here called Sozo Missions. All right, we've been in this community now right here at this center for about 11 years. But this center has been owned by my local church, which is Woodland Community Center, for the past, I believe, 20 some odd years. The county gifted it to Woodland Community Church and Woodland Community Church because of Sozo's mission's faithfulness and fruitfulness in the community by reaching young people and investing in families in the community here. They gifted it to us, and now we are the proud owners of the Oasis Center, but soon to be the Legacy Center. That makes sense? So, I prepared a little presentation. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna give you a little vision on the center by just showing this little small video right here. Wait, before I do that though, I wanna talk about our presenters that are gonna be here tonight. We have Brian Veith. He's the principal professional civil engineer. He'll be here sharing about the engineer aspects of the Legacy Center. Then we have myself, which is Dwayne Parker, executive director and founder of the ministry. For those that don't know, people call me Bishop Freeze in the community, so most everybody knows me as Bishop Freeze in the community. And then we have our architect and principal professional, Dan Draper, who will be talking to you about the vision and how he came up with the engineering aspects of the new Legacy Center. That makes sense? All right. This is the meeting agenda. We're at the introductions right now, and in that introduction, I wanted to show this video. Can I go back to that and then come back to that?
Sure, however you want to do it.
I'm going to show this video, which is me doing the introduction. See, we should practice. We should practice. But we got it. We're gonna move forward. Look at that picture. Where was that? That's a picture of me and my lovely bride, Shavonna Parker. We were in New York City for her very first time. You see that? All right, let me move on. All right, here's the video. Our mission at Sozo is passionately sharing the love of Christ with hope to transform the lives of urban youth, their families, and the communities in which they live. We are an inner city outreach ministry that focuses on youth and young adults in troubled neighborhoods of East Bradenton, Florida. We aim to see spiritual transformation in urban youth, their families, and their communities by sharing the love of Christ and engaging them in a lifelong journey of following Jesus. We provide mentoring, discipleship, arts, tutoring, life skills, and summer camps to young people, majority of whom live in single-parent households. The challenge of early adolescence are intensified for youth who live in disadvantaged urban communities, an atmosphere often characterized by poverty, substance abuse, stressful family life, few positive adult role models, and crime. At Sozo, our heart is to redirect these young lives in a positive direction, as we passionately invite every student we reach into the rich legacy of our faith, continuing to move the message of the gospel into their circles. We are a community of believers who invest our heart, time, money, and resources to leaving a legacy of faith and redemption for the next generation. Become a vital part of making the dream and vision God has given us a reality by generously giving to our organization. Your generosity matters. All right, we're not asking for any donations right now. That was just a video that I recorded a while ago. And that's the video about what we do here. It showed everything that we do here. Our mission Our vision and our mission is to passionately share the love of Christ with hope to transform the lives of urban youth, their families, and the community in which they live in. And that community is Samoset. And we go within a 5 to 10 mile radius of East Bradenton, of this area, and we reach and rescue young kids, and we love on their families, and we invest in their lives. And their lives, when we invest in their lives, we're able to break the cycle of poverty, crime, gangs, and drugs, and create a culture where our youth can thrive in Christ. Amen? That makes sense? All right, and with that, I'm going to give you a background on the Legacy Center. The Lord gave me a vision of the Legacy Center. It wasn't called that then, but he just showed me. One day we were doing ministry here with our youth, and I walked out this door one day, and I kid you, it was clear as day. I saw, and I still see this, I saw a swimming pool on this property. I saw the basketball court, which is outside now, just a blacktop basketball court. I saw a building and a structure around it with kids playing basketball inside. I saw a new parking lot. I just saw a new facility here. And I believe the Lord put that on my heart and gave me that vision. And now the vision is coming to pass, and it's actually going to be called the Sozo Legacy Center. And so I wanted to show this little video real quick about what the Lord, the vision he gave me, and maybe this will explain it. It's only 1 minute long. Check it out.
Blessings, everyone. My name is Bishop Freeze, and I am the founder and executive director of Sozo Missions. We are an inner city outreach ministry that aims to see spiritual transformation in urban youth. I'm here at our Sozo Oasis Community Center in Samoset, which is located in East Bradenton, Florida. The Lord has given me a vision and dream to expand our youth center by building a brand new playground, more parking, a brand new all-purpose gathering and recreational area with a concession stand, additional bathrooms with showers, and an upstairs with offices for our staff. This new facility will be called the Sozo Legacy Center and will serve youth and families in Bradenton for decades to come. Help us take advantage of this incredible opportunity. Together we can break the cycle of poverty, crime, drugs, and violence and create a culture where our youth can thrive.
See the babies? The babies grow up to be big babies too, by the way. We've seen a lot of kids start off here. We have a kids ministry called Sozo Kids, and the children from 2nd grade through 6th grade meet here every Friday evenings, even during school, when school is out, even during school time. It's all year long program. And then we take those same kids to summer camps and all kind of other events and fun things for the kids. We do the same thing with the teens. And so I'm saying all that to say, this is a safe place for young people. When I first moved here about 11 years ago from Tacoma, Washington, back to my hometown of Bradenton, Florida. I was born here. I'm a native here, born in Manatee Memorial Hospital. And so, but my family moved us away for a while. And then when the Lord brought me back here, he moved me right down the street at 3702 South 17th Street East, which is 2 blocks up the road. I stayed in that house for 6 or 7 years. And I used to just walk around here, and I've seen all the kids playing around and stuff here, playing basketball. And one thing led to another. I prayed about it, and I got in contact with Woodland Community Church, and I told them what I wanted to do with kids. They gave me the key the first day they met me. Just gave me the key and said, go ahead, do ministry. Just don't bring nothing inside of here. So we didn't have nothing in here. We couldn't bring nothing in here. But anyways, that's our heart, is to invest in young people. And that's what we were doing here. And we have simply ran out of room here when it comes to having a decent fellowship. We want to be able to bring kids and their families here in this community center. We tried a few services with kids and their families, and we was in here packed like sardines. And that's when I was beginning to pray and say, Lord, we need to expand this thing. And one thing led to another. Woodland blessed us with the property, and we had a vision to just increase this place. And that's how the Legacy Center and the vision was birthed. And we're going to press on and continue to get this thing built. I'm gonna switch the gears now. I believe Brian is gonna come up, our engineer, and he's going to,
I'm going to do a project overview,
okay.
and then I'm gonna turn it to Dan, and then back to
Don't
me.
clap up for Brian, all right.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for everyone for coming. I'm gonna start like at 30,000 level foot, and then we're gonna get into some details on the architect side, some really cool renderings, and then I'm gonna show on the civil engineering side. Our team was put together to do two things. One, to really understand SOZO's needs, to make sure we understood the objectives, the goals, and to make sure from an architect and engineering, we integrated that into the project. The second part was to make sure we meet code, we meet the county's requirements. So one of those requirements too is to share this with the community and have a neighborhood meeting in to get any feedback. So that's another goal of this meeting. So I'm gonna go through a couple of the key points. Dan's gonna get into more specifics because an architect is who's actually designs the building. The engineer designs everything around that to make the site work so that you can get into the building. The new building is gonna be about 9,600 square feet. It's a multi-purpose. It'll be air conditioning. So the good news is what is happening on the outside with the outdoor basketball court and the other activities, now we can bring in a sheltered environment, so protected from the weather, protects the community from the noises that maybe when they're playing late in basketball, that's all inside now. There'll be locker rooms and concessions so that when you're doing certain activities and you need to shower, so you're gonna come back later, you go from basketball, you shower, and then you can do fellowship. Some of the site additions we're gonna do to help promote security and other things, we're gonna be putting in a vegetated buffer and some fencing to discourage loitering. We're gonna be putting in an automated irrigation system. One of the county's requirements is certain vegetation needs to come onto the site. And so to do that, we're gonna try to use Xeriscape and other types of planting that doesn't need as much water, but those that does, we need to put in an irrigation system. LID, I put an acronym, so I need to tell you what that means. LID means low impact development. So when you're in a smaller sites, you still got, no matter whether your site is very innovative, low impact development type techniques, which I'll get into. Other site enhancements, we're gonna expand the parking and we're gonna make it more clear where you park so we can maximize the number of the cars get in here. The ingress, egress to the site will be improved as well. The playground will be moved so we can expand the parking lot. We're not removing it. And then, as I mentioned, enhancing with security features. And then 2 ADA parking spots. So now we get into the really cool stuff that Dan put together on the renderings.
Hello. When Dwayne came to me with this project, it was a challenging project. It's an ambitious project, which is one reason why I brought Brian on board to help with planning, because there's a lot to go with that. So basically, I'm going to skip forward here real quick. Basically, there's three components to this project, which are very similar to what is already here. We have the existing building, which we're in now, Fellowship Hall. We have a canoe connector building, and then a new gym building or basketball building, and then also relocated playground area. So essentially, it's the same functions that's already here. It's just now being an indoor facility versus outside. So going back to rendering. So this is kind of a blow up of the entry element. This is the existing building that we're in right here. This is a connector building which will have the locker rooms, main lobby, front door, as you will. And then the basketball building, which will be a prefabbed engineered metal building. Playground area relocated toward the front with some fencing and landscaping, so it's a secured area for parents off the lobby element.
There you go.
This is more of an overview of, and Brian will get into how we're gonna do the parking lot. It's pretty innovative, I think. but we've cleaned up the parking lot, entryway, drop-off area, so it'll be very easy to drop off and pick up. Lots of landscaping. The county requires a heavy landscape buffer, which will help soften the edge of the large two-story building. And then when I say two-story, it's a one-story building, but the eave height is 24 feet high. I'll get to this is the rear view of the building, facing the street, cornered here. So again, following the landscaping coming around here. The thought is to do the lower level in block. So this would not be a metal building down lower. So where you can see and touch will be block, whether it's split face or stucco, to have that element. Also great for soundproofing. And then the upper element would be the metal building, which, you know, there's a variety of different patterns and colors that we can look into for that. Looking to the floor plan, again, multi-purpose space. So this space can be set up many different ways. Right now, again, we have the existing building. Our connector building here is a large lobby area. Men and women's restrooms with shower facilities. We have an office here that is open to the main space, so there's direct interaction there. And then outside of the lobby area is, again, a children's playground area. The main multi-purpose building will have a full-size basketball court, retractable bleachers. We'll have a platform at one end with some storage areas on the end here. Lots of glass up high, so we'll try to get as much natural light in there as possible. Direct access, egress access. Another version or another layout might be for fellowship or banquet, where you could set up portable tables, banquet facilities. I know we do this at Woodland quite a bit. It works really well. So lots of options for functions in here. And again, you have a platform up here, so if kids want to do a play or some kind of art thing, you know, they have that option also, and also for a speaker. I think, yeah, all right. Going backwards then.
You want it when you're ready.
Yeah, so basically square footage, I had to, can we go backwards one more?
Yeah.
Just go over, yeah, here we go.
This one?
Yeah. So basketball,
You got this?
or maybe I need to go back one more, I'm sorry. The site plan maybe, yeah.
You're looking at the dimensions of the building.
Yeah, I had one with the areas on it, but
It's 9,600 square feet is what the,
yeah, so basically the new building is 70 by 120. That would be the metal building. And then the connector building is just, you know, literally that, connecting the existing building to the new basketball building.
which is basically where the pavilion is.
And that's like
right?
1,230 square feet, yeah. Yeah, and that basically is where the existing pavilion is right now, is right here. So we're removing that, and just tying into the existing building. I'll hand it back over to Brian.
Thanks.
Good job.
Looks great, Dan. Before I get into the slide, one thing I want to mention is the site is, as Dwayne mentioned, Dan's mentioned, this site has been serving the community for many, many years. But to do this project and to meet county requirements, it is currently zoned for residential. So part of the process we're going through is we're not only trying to get the permits to basically design and construct this, but we're rezoning the project so that it's consistent with the use that it's been going and ongoing. So we're going through a rezone with what's called a preliminary site plan, and that'll go to the board for their approval, and that's the next step. So some of the features we're doing and steps we're taking is because of that process to make sure that we're meeting all the requirements. First one to step back before I get into my site plan, and I think this aerial, instead of kind of a boring survey, is this kind of tells you a good picture of what's happening. And so relating back to what Dan was showing, okay, so you've got the existing building, then the connector, and then this is where the new building. So we've got a basketball court that's impervious. Impervious in engineering terms, this means basically when the stormwater hits, it doesn't go into the ground, right? So that's an important part that I'm going to show how we're addressing that. And then as you can see right now, the parking is limited to this area, and then we have a kind of a narrow ingress egress. So both for functionality, for the purposes of what is going to be needed with the new building, but also to meet requirements. That's why we had to look at parking, ingress, egress, and see what is the best fit to meet the objectives, and also for the requirements. So this site is in a special watershed overlay district. So in layman terms, it means that the county has designated certain parts of the county where there's been historic flooding issues, and so they are trying to promote restoring those. This site is not currently flooding, this site is high and dry, but any runoff, any rain that hits here gets into the system, it goes downstream where there is some flooding issues near the river. So by us, when we go through this, developing the site and making changes, they're asking to account for that and where you can to make improvements here that helps the district. So we took that into account as part of our design. One way we do that is to mitigate by keeping the impervious areas, so new asphalt, new concrete, to a minimum. But we want to do enhanced parking, so how do you do that? That's where you do low impact developments. I'm going to show you some pictures. So basically our civil design, we've changed the ingress to the site. Currently it's here. So we had a meeting with the county to discuss the benefits of moving it from a circulation versus removing trees. So we got two objectives to meet. So in talking to the county, this works better from a flow, we get more parking. As long as we mitigate, and as Dan said, we're planting more trees, there's a 2 or 3 to 1 ratio, we'll plant those trees elsewhere on site. So this provides a better circulation pattern through. We have the concrete dumpster, which is a requirement for the county. We're providing pervious pavement, which is strong enough to allow cars to go, but the stormwater actually can go through, versus if it was asphalt, it would basically pond off and go off the site. The grass parking, we're using wheel stops to help define the spots, and by using grass again, we're allowing the water to stay in the site, infiltrate, which actually also has an added benefit because we're adding a well on site, so we're keeping the water here, it infiltrates, and it helps the groundwater on that aspect. Like I said, the flow is going to be clear. We're going to be putting in directional signs to make sure that everyone's aware of how the flow goes through the site. We're putting in the 2 paved handicap spots here. We're putting in a concrete sidewalk, so now into the buildings is the people that come in to park on the handicap, they've got the sidewalk there, they can come in and go into the building there, or they've got a hard surface here to come into the new entrance. We're going to be working with a landscape architect. I didn't show it on this plan, but part of my civil design, I have to coordinate with the landscape architect as well. This area here is what's called an LID bioswale. So this not only helps from a permitting, from a stormwater, but there's educational opportunities for the youth. A lot of places we're designing this, we're helping them understand how we bring this element in, and there'll be plantings here, and it shows how we can help the environment. The type of plants will actually uptake the nutrients and phosphorus and those types of things that's going to come off the pavement into there, and these plants help with water quality. So it's a good for those students that are math and science driven, that we want to be the future engineers or scientists. Early on, they can learn about those type of things. So they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of what I mean by LID, low impact development. So this is a case where the runoff would come off. Now in this case, it was paved, not pervious, but it comes in here and you have these cordgrass and other type plantings in here where the water goes in, it's stored in there, and it gets treated, and it infiltrates in by putting in a special kind of soils. You see some of these rocks, so it helps promote the water going in and not going off site. This is another way of doing it with plants and mulch. So some of the new features, we talked about the expanding parking. We're gonna have 17 grass parking spots and 2 ADA compliant. We have asked for a variance from the county based on the number of spots required because of some of the other things we're doing that are benefit by not adding more parking. We talked about the grass parking with the wheel stops. We've improved site functionality. Back on this exhibit, we've added a fence here, a lockable fence. So this is to help mitigate so there's not transients coming through here. We've also added a fence here. There's some existing facilities back here that'll help. That there's electrical and other things back here.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps promote that being a little bit more secure. We had the option of doing an opaque fence, or as an alternative, as the buffer, we can use landscaping. So from a visual standpoint, cost, and as part of the LID, the buffer's gonna be we're asking for the county for that variance to do landscaping around the site. We talked about xeriscape, which basically means Florida friendly. They don't need as much rain. There'll be a well with an automated irrigation system. The islands here, and here will be landscaped, and there'll be protective curbing here, which we're adding, which the parking lot doesn't currently have, so that this landscaping here would be protected from a car wanting to veer off there. I talked about pervious pavement. So as you look at this, it looks like it's hard surface. But if you look in more detail here, it's actually porous, so the water actually can get down into the ground. The benefits. So we've talked about making sure we meet the county's objectives and SOZO's objectives, working in with the architect and me, the civil. These are some of the key objectives that we were making sure we met, which was health, safety, and security improvements. Those are benefits. Provides a safe shelter for the youth from weather, for those activities now that we can move inside. Now the youth are inside, so we've got the buffer of the building to help on reducing noise. The activities are inside, so we don't have the outside lights that are projecting onto the basketball court. Those are now inside, although we will keep some lighting from a security perspective on the outside of the building. As you can see, the beautiful work Dan's done on the enhancement of the aesthetics of the site, visually very appealing. We've used as much modern and innovative design as we can. It is challenging on a small site, so we've tried to be as cost effective as possible while meeting all the requirements. We are going to be using LIDs to treat, so the water that does stay or does go off, it'll be a better quality, which was a requirement. And then by keeping the water here and using the well here, we're promoting water conservation. So the question you ask is, okay, what's next? So let's go through the next steps after this neighborhood meeting. We're going to summarize the attendees, the items we discussed. We will submit to the county with our revised package. They had some questions and comments. We've clarified a few things. We'll be making a updated submittal for the preliminary site plan, which includes architectural, landscape architecture, and civil drawings. The staff will eventually review it, and once they've addressed their concerns, it will go to the Board of County Commissioners for their approval. Once they approve it, then it goes to what's called the final site plan, which is basically 100% construction drawings. It's to the level that you could give it to a contractor and they would be able to build it. So before the contractor can build it, there's certain other permits we need to get, so that's why we do the final site plan. Eventually we'll need a building department permit, we'll need from the land development group, and then we'll need a stormwater permit and a utility permit. Finalize once we get to 100%, we'll be able to get updated pricing. We've got some preliminary estimates, but they're only estimates until our design is done. We'll need to get update that and then get the construction funding in place, and then negotiate, execute a construction agreement, and then the fun part where we actually have the ceremony to have a groundbreaking. The goal, if everything goes as planned, we hope to have that groundbreaking by the end of the year. But there are some key steps along the way, and some of that is out of control, but we'll do the best we can as a team to make sure we're doing our part.
Good job.
Any questions?
Are there any plans to improve this building? Are we gonna put a brand new building onto an old building
When we do the new building, obviously we'll go through with the stucco to repair, any, paint, stucco to match the new building. Possibly new roof to match the new building, because there will be some connector construction there. As far as interior, that's kind of a separate line item right now. We really haven't got into that yet. So,
Yeah, I was really thinking about the outside.
Yeah,
So
the outside will
this
just-
old building with all this new stuff.
yep, so, can we go back to the renderings? Yeah, so the overall look of the existing building, we're not gonna change. I mean, it'll still be a shingle roof. We'll just, again, clean up the stucco, the paint, fascia, soffits, that kind of thing, to be at the same standard as the new building. And then the connector section of it, I tried to, make that transition from this style to a more modern commercial look of the new building. So it's kind of a three-part step from, the residential look that we have to commercial to the metal, big building. So it's kind of, to help make that transition. But as far as,
Like the windows where you enter,
Yeah,
the
that-
doors, all that.
that's
stays.
pretty much staying the same, yeah.
So is that side that's showing with the double doors on the windows, is that?
Well,
this
yeah,
side
the
there?
idea was maybe to increase the door, change the door out to a more, glass door, right?
So the wall behind you, is that the
It-
wall
Yeah,
that's gonna
this,
connect
can you
with
go to the floor
pavilion?
plan? So right here in that corner where that window is where we have a connector. I think it's about 8 feet wide, so probably from
That window.
here to that corner is where the connector hallway would be. Right,
So you're talking to here, right, Ken?
yeah,
Right there.
yeah.
I probably have some more questions. Part of my questions is I write grants, so I need to understand this really well.
Yeah, we'd be more than happy to get you a copy of the floor plan too, so that it would be,
I think Blaine
Yeah.
has sent me the floor plan.
okay?
I really would like a copy of your list that you had about I don't have anything about the landscaping. I think
Okay.
that's a good point to make in writing a grant.
Yeah, you saw the list of environmental benefits and educational benefits for STEM, and
Yeah.
there's
I
a
think
lot
that
of,
would- That would be very helpful.
Okay.
in writing a-
There's also a possibility of making this what's known as a hardened building, which then it can be used as a shelter.
Yes.
And that would be huge. So we're gonna fight to see if we can get that to happen. There's some requirements, obviously, to get that to happen, but we're gonna look into that. And if it's possible, that would be a huge benefit
for the new building.
for the new building, to make this a hardened building.
Right.
Obviously, we can't make this. But
This won't look like this though. I'll say that.
This needs to not look like this.
It's not gonna look
You
like
have a vision. You said you have preliminary cost? What are we looking at?
We had Greg work with you in the beginning with some preliminary costs. I'm trying to
And
remember.
some things have changed a little bit.
But we have
since-
changed a few things.
We've changed some things.
So we did work with a contractor who when I just finished doing a big administration building over at Woodland Community Church. And the contractor we use there, I got with him, he does a lot of work in that sector, so we had him kind of take a look at what we were doing, put some numbers together, and so we could get that information to you.
I could tell you, you want me to share that? What
Yeah,
that-
but just keep in mind that was,
A year ago?
Yeah, a
Well,
year ago.
the construction industry is so volatile right now with numbers, you know, it's all
It's
over the
hard
place.
to tell because of the
Hopefully
supply
it's coming
chain.
down.
Yes, the supply chain and inflation. We've
Hopefully
seen
it's
some
coming down.
areas kind of level off.
Good.
So that number that they gave us about a year ago, half acres construction for just the exterior of the multipurpose center and all of the locker rooms and the lobby and all of that stuff, they gave us a quote of I
Okay.
believe 6
That's
million.
fine. That's what I was thinking.
2.6. That's on the exterior. But then we believe we're gonna need another 2.5 for the interior to come up with the nice technology and media stuff that we need and just all the new stuff, modern things that we need to make this center state of the art. Any more questions, anybody?
I can get you more details on that. We did this from a high level, but there's actually some more benefits and then there's backup to that. So if a grant's looking for quantification of certain items, like how much is this saving or what is this doing, we can do that.
You know, and the one key element with the new building is we're obviously looking for low maintenance, life cycle, cost effectiveness. You know, cost effectiveness in the initial construction. I think what Brian's done with the civil is brilliant. It's eco-friendly, it's green, it's innovative. We had a lot of restrictions on this small site for water runoff, which he's addressed, parking, which we've addressed. So a lot of challenges, but I think we've, you know, met them. And so that was the concept, was to help him reach out to the community and reach out to these young men and women to reach the potential that God wants them to be. That's, you know,
Amen. Amen. And these two gentlemen have been phenomenal with helping me and my wife all the way along the way of just bringing the vision into clarity and making it clear. And we've been going through a lot to get this far, but I know we got a little ways to go, and I'm just trusting that it's going to happen. I'm just trusting that it's going to happen. I'm believing that it's going to happen, and I'm excited about it. In fact, I'm so excited that I'm actually going through all these lessons and education stuff about capital campaigns, and it's like I'm in college right now. So everything else is kind of like I'm trying to delegate most of the ministry stuff to the staff, and I'm going full-fledged in on the capital campaign because I believe this is going to happen. And I thank you guys so much for helping me bring it together.
There's a lot of community foundations between here, Manatee has one, Sarasota County, and they sometimes provide capital.
Campaigns, funds.
Funds, so
So I'm
you
gonna be
need to
sending
make
you
that
an
run.
email. I'm gonna be sending you an email, and you're gonna tell me where that money at.
Well, I don't know where the money, but I have seen, I know Harvest
Harvest.
House,
Oh yeah, we're in partnership with them.
okay.
The
They just finished.
Yeah, I
their
see it.
meeting. You've seen it.
It's
Okay.
gorgeous.
And they don't even have a mortgage.
I know.
So they can help you out.
We're gonna do
Those
that.
are- That's
We-
that's the
them
people
is-
to connect with.
Them is our peoples. Them is our
Okay,
partners.
good.
We're going to see them tomorrow.
Good, they are, and they're nice.
Yes, they are.
But
Thank
it
you.
is amazing.
That's where the money at, girl. You knew.
They know where the money's at, trust me.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're gonna put this on We've recorded this, so we'll provide that a link. We're also going to provide a link to the PowerPoint drawings. So if you're watching this after the fact that we've done this meeting, you're seeing this recording, the link to the PowerPoint will also be there. And we'll have information if you have any questions, because you're watching it after the fact and you weren't able to ask live, that there'll be a pathway, FAQ, frequently asked questions, that we'll have as we develop, as the project moves on, to help maybe answer your question as well.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Continue to pray with us as we believe for the Legacy Center to come to fruition right here in Samoset and change this community for the better. God bless you.
Amen.